I am Holly Bellebuono. I'm an herbalist. I'm an entrepreneur coach. I'm a natural and organic business consultant and a facilitator for core values, team training, and purpose design and implementation for businesses. I enjoy CSR, corporate social responsibility, and developing purpose within a small or medium-sized business, and especially gathering people together, the team members together to rally behind a common mission or purpose. And a lot of that has to do with core values. So I wanted to share with you how I started in my career. It started with landscaping. When I was in graduate school, I was hoping for a sustainable development or agriculture master's degree, but they didn't have that yet. Where I went to school, they only had it as a minor, an undergraduate minor. So I ended up getting a master's degree in public administration with a concentration in environmental policy. And while I was in school, I got a job on a landscaping crew. The boss was an old hippie. He had long silver hair. He wore tie-dye clothes, and he was a philosopher. And we were probably the only landscaping crew that talked philosophy and ideas while we dug gaping holes in rich people's lawns. We discussed literature, complex thought, and creative history. We planted azaleas and primrose, and I learned that plants could be not only ornamental, but edible and even medicinal. It changed the direction of my life because I became a medical herbalist. First a gardener and then an herbalist, and all of that led to becoming a published author and a worldwide speaker. Along the way, I launched and ran herbal businesses, and I trained myself to be an entrepreneur. I never went to a traditional business school, but I relied on common sense and trial and error to get my products and services into the world. I dove head-on into the natural products industry, and I learned about good manufacturing practices, ethics, herbalism, anatomy and physiology, profit-making techniques and strategy, pricing methods, ingredient sourcing, and so much more. I've spent 30 years at the helm of various and award-winning businesses, including retail, wholesale, and education and curriculum businesses, and for nonprofits. I've worked for a variety of nonprofits as an executive leader. What's interesting is when I started these businesses, citing your core values as a company, it wasn't really a thing. It is now. It's become a thing. Today, it's fashionable to have a list of your values posted on your website, claiming that these 6 to 8 terms are what guide you and your team. As I grew as an entrepreneur and a businesswoman, I developed a sense of values, but I never codified them or listed them for others to see publicly. But I do now. I see how coming together over shared collection of terms that represent ethics and priorities is really very important to keeping a business moving forward. It leads to team unity. Gen X and Gen Z customers definitely want to see this, and they will investigate and ask questions, which is fantastic. Why are openly stated values so important now? It's partly because there are so many businesses. The market, every market, is overly saturated, and we are awash in companies that put out an endless variety of products and services. We are bombarded with options. And because of this, we need a clear way to distinguish between them and identify which ones we want to support with our hard-won dollars and which ones we want to avoid. Voting with our wallets has never been more important. And values, the core values of a company can help with this. When a company lists its values, it's either a rote activity because someone in the marketing department believes that every company should do it, or it's a meaningful divulgence of intimately shared priorities that a team has carefully considered and that it uses daily. Ideally, it's the latter, because we consumers would really like to believe that the terms listed as core values are actually meaningful to the company that we work for or that we purchase from. Of course, that's not always the case, but let's assume that those lists of values really are the guiding lights that serve as a company's navigation. It's helpful to know if a company bases its values on conservative or progressive ideas, for instance, or if it values the earth and animal welfare, or if it goes out of its way to source ethically from farmers. Their core values will tell you how the team works together as a group, how they manage difficulties, how they process information, and ultimately make decisions. There are, you would think, clear values in the natural and organic product market, but it's not always the case. In the natural products industry, it can seem straightforward. Of course, a company that produces silky smooth moisturizer made from coconut oil values the earth. It has an organic label, perhaps, and it's in the health food store. It's easy to be misled. It's not always easy to know exactly what the truth is. Some moisturizer makers, such as Company A, exploit the rainforests and they traumatize their workers, just like companies of any other industry that produces trains or widgets or financial services. The natural product industry is no different. Having and identifying core values that delineate animal welfare and rainforest friendly really goes a long way in knowing that Company B is wildly different from Company A, and it strives to make a positive impact. Because Company B recognizes its farmers as partners, it sources only USDA certified organic ingredients, and it replenishes its coconut oil growing communities by building schools, improving drinking water. We know that this is a company we want to work with. Don't let the terms natural or earth friendly or even organic fool you. Companies can put anything on their labels, and it's up to us as the consumer to be able to vet them and understand exactly what they're saying when they use the term natural or organic or earth friendly or free range or anything similar. Real values and certifications and commitments from third-party providers go far in labeling a company worth its salt or worth your money. I personally was aghast in the early 2000s when I ran an apothecary to discover that many of the dried herbs I ordered wholesale for my tea blends came from companies that tested on animals. I naively thought because a company sold natural products that it was automatically ethical. That is completely wrong. In researching herbal medicine over the past 3 decades, it has become painfully clear that there's plenty of animal testing on herbs, oils, extracts, medicines, skincare ingredients, and other additives such as fragrances. The natural products industry still has a long way to go to be a force for good, as B-corps work toward, which is partly why my passion is to assist ethical skincare, herbal, and cosmetic leaders in operating businesses that are truly positive. We also must educate our consumers about what the labels really mean, as well as candidates for jobs who are entering the industry. What does product development really entail? Is there someone in your company who oversees sourcing and procurement? And what are their policies? What are their values? Is the company going out of its way to be a leader in ethical standards and create a world that is better than it found? It can be expensive, and some companies don't want to do it, which is why we have to look for the companies who really do make a difference. This is what I think is the true meaning of core values. This is how I work with clients who seek support in identifying their values and their purpose and implementing these throughout their business. How can we make a profit and live our purpose and make the world even better? I can help you get in touch.